Warriors podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Mary Marshall. She is so I'm going to say this title because I want to say it all the way. So she's a certified NeuroLinguistics Programming Master Practitioner and president of Forest Performance Group. So Mary is very interesting. She's not a guest I've ever had on the show. And this is why I'm actually really excited to have you on, because the things you've learned and how you're implementing it now into this company is phenomenal. So I'm going to start off with just saying first, thank you for being on my show. And I want to also start off with a question as to why you chose this career. Like, what led you to this?
Oh, that's huge. Well, one, thank you for having me, Hadeel. I'm really, really excited to be here and on the Warriors podcast, because the word warrior is so important to me as a protector of people, protector of spirit. And I often refer to myself as a warrior goddess or a warrior princess. It makes me feel feminine with it, but I love the warrior word. And getting here is a journey, and it's a following of spirit, I believe. My career started in sales. And so I have been a salesperson since I was 19 years old. I worked in a call center. So I was one of the telemarketers that called people at night and interrupted their dinners. That was me. And so next time you get one of those, I want you to picture me and be friendly with them. So I was a telemarketer, and through that learned connecting with people and learned selling, and then came from a family of salespeople and believed that sales is the most noble profession because we are able to share ideas and expertise with people to help them improve their lives. And so through that journey, ended up here at a sales training company. And I came in sales and just moved around and did all of the different departments until we grew to a size that we needed more executive leadership. And since I'd run most of the departments, I stepped up to be the president of the company. And it's been so gratifying to get to watch and develop people that are helping to develop other companies. And their whole mission is to convince everyone that they are enough. And we do that through sales training, but the real heart of it is helping people to pull away everything that's stopping them from being who they're meant to be.
I love that because if anybody's ever been in sales, they'll understand this much. You're going to learn a lot about yourself, and you're really going to push yourself to a very far point you've never thought you would ever reach, because it's a very uncomfortable thing walking into it, but can be very comfortable when you really know how to do it right. And especially what you said is really just knowing how to build those relationships and being able to sell them that way, because then it's authentic, and also you're giving them something that is valuable to them versus just selling.
Exactly. When hey, it would be inauthentic, it would be unethical for me to not share with you what I'm selling. If you know that you have something, you have a product or service, and that's going to improve somebody's life, you have to share that with them. But on the other side, we're all selling because we're selling our ideas to people, whether we're an employer and we need all of our team members to get on board with us and with the strategy. And so we're selling those ideas to them, or we're an employee that's in the trenches and has an amazing idea because we're doing the work every day, and you need to sell that idea to your senior management. We're all selling, every single one of us.
Right. It's like you're walking with a purpose, but you're talking with a purpose because you know exactly what you want and you're going about it that way. So I love that. Tell me, starting at 19, that's very young. And how did you get over the fear, right, of cold calling? What mindset as a warrior now, right? What mindset did you have to develop and teach yourself to become in order to really sell the way you do now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I definitely had to learn it because I did not start out good at all. In fact, we were tasked with doing 100 cold calls a night, or warm calls, 100 dials to ask people for money. And at the time, we give them like a sticker for their car and an honorary library card. There's no transaction here. It is, you are giving out of the goodness of your heart. And every day I was sick to my stomach. Every day I was so nervous going in. My first day I cried. It was bad. And so I just didn't have a car, and there was no other place to work. So I was stuck. I had to figure this out. And I remember watching other people, especially the guy I sat next to my first day, his name was Anthony. And I remember watching Anthony, and he was like charismatic. He's standing up and he's having a ton of fun talking to people. And after time I asked him, because I'm in so much discomfort, because I'm picturing interrupting people. I'm picturing people that don't have money to give and they're shamed by my asking the question. And I talked to Anthony and I said, what do you think about during the day? What do you think about while you're calling people? And he said, Mary, it's easy. I think, man, these people, they have great stories they want to share from their college experience. And because I was calling on behalf of my college, they have great stories they want to share. And their parents, their friends, their spouse, they've all heard them, but I haven't. They can share with me.
Wow.
And I can be a blessing in their day. And they want to donate to the school, but it's a to-do list for them. And I can take it off their hands. So I'm blessing them that day. And my mouth dropped. I was like, I have never thought a single thought like that in my entire life. And I decided, because they weren't my thoughts, that I was going to adopt his mindset. And I was going to take it on, and I was going to repeat these mantras to myself. And I did every day until they naturally became my thoughts. So it weren't there to begin with. And just from changing my thoughts, I didn't have a change of script, anything. I went from being right at the 50th percentile to, in one semester, I broke every record for collecting donations. And it was all mindset. It was all deciding that I was going to help people that day instead of worrying that I was intruding on them.
That's phenomenal, because most people would say, oh, you just got to keep practicing, just keep calling and get better. But you went to the root. But I want to really emphasize this and really showcase this. What you just said was so important, is that you asked a really good question. A really good question. Asking, and then the one thing I'm huge on, especially why I even do this podcast, is really just asking the right questions that will lead you to the next step in life or moving forward or whatever the case, whatever you want to do, right?
Yeah, and there's always somebody who's achieved what you want to achieve. So it's find them.
Right, find them and then ask them the right questions. Don't ask stupid questions. I don't say there's ever stupid questions, but there's always better questions that can lead to the answer you're looking for quicker. I love that. So the thoughts, that's the key. It's starting from the root of what is going to develop you as a person to move forward. Phenomenal.
Absolutely.
So warrior tip number 1, thoughts. I love that. So then tell me what you did after that. After you realized you broke your habit of being very fearful and having bad thoughts, and then now you did extremely well in this company. What led you to move forward in sales? What was the next step for you? What did you see for yourself?
Yeah. Well, I had gained so much success and traction there on fundraising that I wanted to continue doing that. I actually moved into nonprofit work first. And then from there, when I found FPG and came here 6 years ago, was wait, I can do this work of service in a for-profit. And I love that because I wanted to make more money, but I still wanted to serve the world. So it was important to me to have both. But I think what's interesting is in that moment of realizing that a truth that I had held with a capital T, which was telemarketers are bad. If you call people during dinner, you're a bad person. If you are interrupting people at night, you are bad. Therefore, telemarketing is bad. Therefore, I'm bad. So I had all of this and I had a ton of evidence to support that, right? I can remember my mom hanging up the phone on people that called during dinner. I could remember every sitcom and television show and comedian making fun of telemarketers. I had a ton of evidence to support it. So it made me think through. So once I saw, no, there's a different way to think about this, and was able to change my whole life with a new thought, I went on this journey of discovering and asking myself, what are the other truths with a capital T that I'm holding on to that I have a ton of evidence around, but they're not true and they don't serve me and I'm not getting better because of them. And I might maybe feel sick at my stomach because of them. What are those? And so as I've asked, it opens up for you, right? If you ask the universe, it starts to show you. And watching these different places where I could go in and do the work of changing that belief, changing that truth that I had held so strongly, to every single time I do that work, which is not fun a lot of times. Right. I come out of it feeling stronger. I come out of it feeling free. I come out of it with compassion for people that are stuck in that space right then. I get it. I was there yesterday, and just with a deeper sense of self.
Mm-hmm. I love that. It really shows how much you spent unlearning things to learn more things. And I really love that. That's very beautiful. It's very hard. It's a very hard thing to do, by the way, because you're just so stuck at thinking one way. To be able to take it somewhere else is amazing. That's phenomenal. So then explain to me how neurolinguistics programming, the things that you learned, right? You got certified for that. Explain to me how that helped you take your mastery to the next level.
Oh, I love that. So I have an amazing, amazing coach. Her name is Susan Stageman, and I've spent years working with her. So neurolinguistic programming, which we're going to call NLP because that's way too long of a word, it's a meta science. So what they did is they went and looked at the most persuasive people and said, what are they all doing? And so these weren't just salespeople. It was salespeople, but it was also lawyers. It was also executives that were able to get like thousands of people on their team rallied around one goal. It was doctors that were able to convince their patients to change their lifestyle, to have a healthy, longer life. So they looked at all of the most persuasive people and said, with their language patterns, what are they doing the same? Like, what's the consistent thread? And then pulled all of those out and made its own program so that now anybody can go learn what is the most persuasive way of speech. And why that's important to me as a coach and a president of a coaching company is people come here because they want more out of life. They want to do bigger, better things. And we have to be able to get them unstuck. And I have Hadeel, I have the most like amazing, brilliant, incredible husband in the entire world. And he made this insanely simple. He's brilliant at taking things that are very complex and making them simple. And he came up with this formula called the performance formula. And so it's just P, our performance, whatever we're getting is equal to the knowledge that we have. So do we know what to do in a situation? Do we know how to do our job? Do we know the financing? Do we know how to talk about our brand? Do we know all of these things? We have the knowledge minus the leashes. And the leashes are anything that hold us back from acting on a strategy that we know will work and give us the performance. And so he had spent his life coming up with this and how to unleash people and specifically in sales. But, as a woman, we're not as good about compartmentalizing. Like, we're all things at all times and fluid. And so I look at it all ways and go, this leashes part, every time somebody's coming here, it's not because they don't know what to do. Most people know exactly what to do to improve their life in any situation. They're just not doing it because they're stuck in a thought. And so how can I use NLP techniques to help remove those leashes, to get that number lower so their performance in whatever area of their life can go up faster? And so that's why NLP has been so important for me and why I continue to study and keep moving through with it.
I love that. That's beautiful because it's really showing there is a strategy behind exactly how to achieve this certain goal that you want. And it's really simple. It's a really simple formula. P equals K minus L, right?
Exactly.
I love that. I love it. And actually that works for my brain because I'm very much like that. I'm very like, okay, let me write this down. This is what I need to do. Perfect. That's amazing. It's a really brilliant way of going about things. And I can see how NLP really helped you.
Absolutely. And what's cool about the formula, since you like I'll give you like a little extra there on it, which is so fun and everybody can relate to it immediately, is sometimes we think somebody that's been doing something a long time, whatever it is. So let's just say, has had a podcast for a long time. They might be out of 1 to 10, a 10 on the knowledge of running a podcast and how to do it and how to ask questions and how to have something that's engaging. There might be a 10, but if they're an 8 on leashes, so they're scared to ask questions, they're not doing the marketing that they know to do, they're not asking people to be on the show, there's things that are holding them back, their performance might only be a 2, which is why sometimes we see new people that come in that have like, I don't know, maybe a 3 on knowledge, but they have nothing that's holding them back. Now they're outperforming somebody with a lot of knowledge, which is really interesting because that beginner's luck was something that always confused me or frustrated me or I wanted to know more about. And when I saw this formula, I was like, there it is. There's beginner's luck. It's because we haven't learned to be scared of anything yet.
I love that. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, especially in things that you don't really need to know much about, but just do, right?
Exactly.
It's beautiful. And I love also what you said, what I love about this NLP program is that you didn't just look at people and said, and you asked, okay, what did they do to get there? Right? But rather you looked at them and said, what did they have to develop within themselves internally to become that? And it's such a different question when you look at it, because one, you're looking at someone for just like on paper, okay, he did this, then he went to this college, then he did this, and that's how he became that. And that's why he is persuasive. Versus someone who really analyzes somebody's characteristics and weighed a personal development they had to go through and understand what it took them to really develop this type of confidence, this types of sales behavior, whatever the case may be, persuasiveness. I love that you went through that, because that really explains that you're studying people to their core, not what they did externally.
Yes. I love that you said that. I think, and it's exactly on the knowledge side, it's what skills, maybe what skills that somebody needs to learn. Mm-hmm. But what I love that you said earlier, Hadeel, was about unlearning. And the leashes side is just unlearning, because our spirit, our core, where we came in to begin with, has no leashes. Like we know who our mission on this world. We know how to treat people. We know what to do. We know how to follow our inner guidance. But we learn this junk along the way that changes, that leashes us. So now we start questioning our own inner guidance, because of we adopt these truths like I did with the capital T. We're like, this is how it is, when it's not how it is. And that is all just the unlearning to go back to your spirit, to back to your inner guidance and who you are, because that's not going to fail you. And that can't be taught. Like, I can't tell you what's the best thing for you. Your spirit will know. I can teach you some skills. I can teach you, you could teach me skills, but you can't tell me what I'm supposed to do with my life and my purpose. But in order to be able to hear that within ourselves, we have to get rid of that junk. We have to get rid of the leashes, so that we can hear that guidance and then have the knowledge of how to move through it and move with it. So I love what you said.
Thank you. And I love what you're saying too. So it's goes both ways, seriously. Now I got to ask, because someone who's in a position like you are, president of a company, at the same time also really focused on understanding people and their behavior and how to really get them to break norms. What do you have to do day to day to keep your energy up? What are you doing to make sure that you're stepping up for yourself before you're helping others step up for themselves?
Okay. One, we are so on the same page. Like, there was one thing that I thought, if there's one thing that I want to share, it's this. And then you just asked me the question. So one, we are totally in sync. Because one of the things that I believe so much is, right now as a society, you'll see a lot of times that we are really idolizing people that are being selfless to the detriment of themselves. And I really believe that selfishness can be the most selfless thing we can do for other people. And so if you need to take that time and go within, it's the most important thing. So you're filled up so you can give to the world in every way, in the way that you are here to give to the world. And so for me, my unique ways of doing that is, one is I get up early. I have 3 children at home. And so I get up at 4:30 in the morning, because I need some peace and grounding before the 6 a.m. wake up of the children. And so for me, my husband and I get up together and we do a meditation practice together to ground ourselves, to center ourselves, and to come up with an intention of the day. Like, what do we want our intention today to be that's going to bring us the best? And so we do that, and we have a meditation practice that we go through together. I make sure that I'm eating. I like to do, I'm always on some sort of like cleansing diet, because I like changing up my diet and it makes me feel good to do that. But the most important part for me is every day looking inside and saying and going, okay, like, what body, asking the body, what is going to satisfy you today? What's going to give you the energy you want? And then allow the cravings to come up, so that then I know that I'm in alignment and eating what I want and eating what's best for me, not something that just looks good at the time. I say that as I had a bite of cheesecake yesterday that was delicious. My body and my spirit, we all wanted it. You've got to live, right? You've got to live a little. And then so mind in the right space. And then I'm very, very careful about what I listen to, what I talk to. I believe we're being programmed at all times by everything. So I really ask myself, like, if I do a lot of Audible, I listen to a lot of books. If I'm listening to something and I go, you know what? And I afterwards realize, ooh, I'm not feeling good. Like, an interesting story, I might be learning a lot, but if I'm not feeling more powerful from listening to it, I just stop listening.
Right.
If a song comes on, I'm like, oh, I love the beat to this. I feel it, but it charges me up in a way that makes me feel like mad at people, or so I'm
Right.
always asking myself, how do I feel after something or during something, so that I can tweak it all day long to make sure that I'm only doing things that are making me feel strong, making me feel powerful, making me feel like I love the human race, so that I can give to them. I don't watch the news because it makes me not like people. And I really want to like people.
Right. I love what you're saying here. It's in a very simple way. What you're saying is just, you're very cautious and on what you feed your body and your mind and your soul. That's basically what I'm hearing. And you're cautious of that in the beginning of your day till the end of your day. It's not like only in the beginning of the day, and then the middle of the day I'm like whatever, and then the end of the day then I like self-reflect. No, it's like every single moment, every single second, I'm making sure, am I doing this because it's going to be good for me and it's going to help me move forward, or am I doing this and it's jeopardizing myself first? It's like, and I love that, because people always, like you said something so powerful, because I'm Lebanese and this is so common in my culture. Putting yourself first is always seen as selfish, and that is so true in my culture, because you're always taught, no, you should put this first for this person and then feed yourself, or do this and then do this for you. And it's just I love that you said that, because it actually, in reality, it kills you. It doesn't help you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree with that completely. And we have to feel, I used to do things that I'm like, okay, if I can just have enough energy to get to 3 o'clock. Well, what about the people that have meetings with me at 3 and 4? Like, that's not fair to be like, oh, I don't want to be here. Like, I can't do this with you. Or what about when I get home and I'm with my family? Like, if I just do enough to get enough energy to make it to 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock when I get home, that's not fair to them. And I want to be able to be present, completely present, and with each person have enough energy that no matter when somebody talks to me during the day, that I can be there with them. And again, it's that juxtaposition, it's that paradox of, it's selflessness so that I can be there no matter when I'm talking to somebody during the day, that I can show up fully present for them. But the only way to do that is to be selfish first.
Right.
So I absolutely.
I really do know. I mean, and I think it's important, because we need to unlearn the way we think what selfish means, especially when it comes to yourself, right? Really unlearn it, and then also tie it with your intentions. I think that itself should be like, those go hand in hand. If you're selfish, is it with good intentions or is it with bad intentions? And then you'll know what's good and right from wrong for yourself, if that makes sense.
Beautiful. Beautifully put. Absolutely.
So tell me how someone in your, talk to me about your position as president. What does that look like? Someone who's supporting that CEO and making sure your team's doing the best they can do during each day. What does that look like for you?
Yeah. Great question. Well, it changes every day. Something that's really important to me, I'm going to take this kind of to a micro level for a second, is beginning days with daily huddles. And I like this for every position. If anybody that's in a career is starting with daily huddles, but I also like starting my family with daily huddles as well. So, but here, we get together, Jason and I meet first and decide, okay, he gives a download to me, a vision of things that he needs accomplished today that I might not know. And then I can take that, I huddle for 20 minutes with the executive team on anything that's different, know where they're standing, what they need from each other. And then they all go and huddle. And I like this with their departments. And the reason I like this is everyone's on the same page. I think what causes problems in business is we're waiting too long for answers or responses. And with the huddle system, nobody's ever waiting more than 24 hours. And so that's really important to me. It was a huge learning curve. So I've been in this position a little over a year now. And I'd run departments before, but running multiple departments, it was a learning curve. And I am very lucky and very gracious to my team that was so kind to me in my transition of learning. Right? Every time we have a new position, you have to take a step back and learn a new process. And so I love the variety of getting to work with each department. I love the sides, everything that we do is on that knowledge side and leashes side. So how today can I serve them with more knowledge on how to get better at what they're doing, and also remove any leashes that's holding them back from acting on what they know is going to make them or their department successful. And so I get to do that. The other thing that I get to do that's really fun is Jason and I do a lot of keynotes. So a couple days ago, I was in Chattanooga doing a keynote, and this one was for the American Association of Retirement Communities. So we were out there with them, and so we're constantly every week getting to go speak about what we do and learn from other people, meet people, go to different cities. And so I usually have a couple days on the road, and then I have a few days that are back here in the office. And so I love all of that.
It sounds like you really love what you do, and most importantly, you're really showing up for everything. That's what it really sounds like. It's like you're showing up for everything, and you make sure you put a really good effort in what you're doing in empowering your people versus just leading them. Which is beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the goal, Hadeel. So that's the goal, is to be able to show up. And I think the other side of that is to have transparency when you're not showing up.
Right.
To either go back and apologize and say, I wasn't there, or this isn't right, and it's not right because I didn't coach you correctly. So let me come back and do this again. Or, just letting people know where you are that day. Hey team, I've got some stuff going on, and I'm giving my best today, but I could use a little grace, right? Don't we love, like, even when we go to our boss and say, hey, if you just give me a little bit of grace today, I'm going to be back 100% tomorrow. I know I'm only showing up at an 80 today. I promise you I'm giving everything that I can right now. This is what I've got. Tomorrow I'll be back to 100, but have grace with me. And so I think it's just being open with where you are, and knowing when you mess up that you just apologize.
Right. And just owning up to it, taking the responsibility for it. I love that. Okay, then I got to ask this question. Being at the age you are now, you don't have to say it. No one needs to, but what would you tell your 25-year-old self? Looking at your life now, what advice would you give yourself back when you're 25?
Okay, very good. And I will share my age. I'm 37. My
3 kids.
Thank you. I'm
37.
My 25-year-old self, at 25, my concern was every time I made a job change, or every time I made a decision about a relationship or a job, like anything like that, it felt like this was my forever. Like I was making a decision that was going to impact everything, and like my whole life was going to cascade from this point. And if I made the wrong decision, it was going to go the wrong direction. And I think I would have given myself a little bit less stress and grief on that, and knowing that, hey, what you're doing, all of it adds up together. And I stayed for a long time in one field, which was sales. And I love sales. Sales is my heart and passion. I would not take away sales. But what I would encourage, and what I do encourage other people to do, which I wish I had done sooner, was to apply and go into different fields. Because I was forced into it later. I came to work for Jason 6 years ago, Jason Forrest, our founder, and he was forcing me to leave sales and go run a marketing department. And then he forced me to go run a media department. And then he forced me to learn finance and to do a finance department and operations. And because of that, I gained all of this knowledge. I could see the way it all fit together, and it allowed me to have the career path I have now. I would not have this had he not forced me into that. I'd still be successful. I'd be happy. I'd be in sales. It'd be great. But at 25, if I said, okay, I've got this job and I've got this down, let me not just think, how do I get to the next rung on the ladder? How do I move up in sales? It's okay to make a lateral move. What if I made a lateral move to marketing, but I had learned a whole new skill set at 25, as opposed to waiting to, 31 to start learning different things? I could have learned a lot faster. And I think a lot of times, again, this is the truth that the capital T from society says. If you are going to take a new job, it needs to be a higher title. It needs to be a higher pay. Well, I think a huge criteria needs to be, am I going to learn a new skill set? If you're going to learn a new skill set, take a lateral move, learn something new, because now you're double. Now you can go run a sales and marketing department. Now you can do so much more. But we don't put enough emphasis on what you're learning in a job. We put so much emphasis and I'm saying it was me at 25. So I don't know if everybody else is doing this or not, but my emphasis was, is it a higher title? Is it a higher salary? And I wish I thought about when I was taking a job, how much am I going to learn, and weighed that equally, if not more than the other two.
I actually needed to hear that. So that was beautiful. That was really beautiful. I love that you said that, because even my age, like I'm always like, no, I need to know how to make more money. This is how I'm going to do it. This. But I'm like, wait, am I learning anything? And is this going to, what I'm doing, what I'm about to take on, is it going to help me in the future to move forward and build my character, my growth, and my experience to a whole new level for an opportunity that I actually need to be prepared for when it comes to me. So I love that you said that. Sometimes we don't need to be forced. Sometimes you just need to force yourself, right, to do this.
Absolutely. And I think too, something that I was doing, but I wasn't conscious I was doing it at the time, was to learn the most that I could from any job that I had. And so, like at the end of my college days, I was bartending. And so I was bartending at night at the little college pub. It was not fancy, but I just loved it. And what was interesting that I knew, okay, I need to learn while I'm here. So I would ask the bar owner at night, hey, can I stay and do inventory with you? Will you teach me how to read a P&L sheet? Will you show me how you decide on inventory? Will you do, all of these things? Because I wanted to get the business knowledge from him. And I was like, I'll just stay for free and let me help and teach me what you know. And he was doing that. What I didn't get, that I didn't realize till later was so valuable too, is that behind the bar that I was at was t-shirts and jeans, very casual, same people every day. And they expected me to have stories. They expected me to have jokes. They didn't come in. It wasn't an ignore the bartender. It was like, I was the hostess of this party and I was introducing them to other people. We were talking and having great times. What I didn't realize was that the improv skills I was learning, the storytelling that I was learning, the being able to relate to so many different people. And then also, I learned to manage drunk people, like really drunk people. And if you can manage drunk people, like coming to the office and managing people is easy. So I was learning all of these things that I didn't realize that I was learning. So I see sometimes with people, or I'll hear from younger friends, or people have asked me to mentor them, and they'll say, well, I'm not, the job I'm doing right now, it's whatever. I'm just doing blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. No. Whatever you're doing, there is so much to learn, and there's so much to take in if you're choosing to look at it that way.
Right. I love that. That gives, I'm sure anybody who's going to listen to this, gives them more of a purpose to go to work and really be purposeful in what they're doing and learning, even if it's just being a waitress, because it's not just being a waitress. You're learning even like more skills than you expect by just communicating with people and knowing how to sell them on a certain item that is really hard to sell, maybe, like it's really, there's a lot of things you can learn from. So I love that you said that. That's beautiful. I got to ask, out of all the things that you're learning and you're doing now, and you're incorporating in the business that you're working in, what is the purpose out of that? What are you trying to gain out of that? What do you see yourself doing in the next 10 years because of where you're at right now?
Really, really, that could you ask a huger question, Hadeel? That's fantastic. I am hoping, the mission that we are on right now as a company is to let people know they're enough. And we've been doing this in a tremendous way through sales training. It's been such an important piece, because there are more people in the United States that will go into people be in sales more than any other career. Like almost everyone has a sales job at some point in their life. So it's something that touches everyone. And it is also the most rejected career. So a lot of times you'll find out somebody's in sales, but they'll say, I'm a relationship manager. I'm a client advisor. Like, it's like, no, I'm not in sales. Like, but no, you're in sales. Like, right, you're in sales. So how do we take that? So it's so important to me, if I'm looking at that so many people feel embarrassed or ashamed by it, how do we bring back that nobility and that pride, purpose, and respect of what they're doing, and to allow that? So that's been the mission, and that's the most important thing for me. On top of that, I realize, look, we are all multi-dimensional people. It's not just our job. And especially as women, I said, like, we don't just stay in one lane. We're always doing everything and holding a lot of identities. So how do we take these concepts and apply them to all areas of our life so that we're feeling unleashed, so that we're having this freedom? I shared earlier about kind of my first step and my toe dip into this and changing my perspective around fundraising and how that changed my life. I became like the number one person. I broke all the records. They asked me to come on and do training. So it was my first, I wrote the training manual, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's the stuff that people like to hear is hear all the awards that I've won because of it. But for me, that what was the most important thing is that prior to that belief change, I woke up every day dreading going to work. I had migraines. I was sick at my stomach. I couldn't eat before I went into work because my stomach was just like all gnarled up at the fact that I was going to have to call people and they were probably going to yell at me. And they did. And that how bad that was going to be.
Right.
And the freedom that I had, the freedom my body had, that I could sleep well at night, that I woke up feeling excited, that I was happy to go to work, that I wasn't feeling nauseous all the time. Like that's what I want for people because I've been through it on so many levels, from the sales side to failed marriages to these things where I had to go in and change my belief system and free myself from that. I know that you can be freed from it. And if I know a way, I have to share that with people, especially with women, especially with salespeople, stuff that matters to everybody. But as women, we hold that in our bodies so much, and our intuition is so strong. And when we are allowing other things to affect our body, we can't hear ourselves. We can't hear our intuition. And so it's so important for me to share these things so that more and more people and more women can feel released of it, to feel free to do what they know they need to do. If they know that they have a relationship that they need to go for or get out of, or a job they need to go for or get out of, whatever it is, that they have this freedom and the strength to be able to move towards it.
I love that. That's very beautiful. It's you know exactly what you want and you're doing it. So I love that. That's beautiful. Okay, this is the last question. And this question might make you think, but I'm going to ask it.
Okay.
What's one truth you found on your journey that you would like to share with us?
Oh, that's really good. Okay. I am going to think. Okay. I've got it. So it took me a second. I'm there. The biggest truth that I've discovered, and I keep discovering, so I'm not like, it's not fully there, but it keeps happening for me, is, and it's almost like a litmus test of truth. So whenever I feel stuck in a situation, or whenever I feel this like cognitive dissonance, I feel something going on in my body that something is not right, it is typically because I have put myself in an either or situation. I have told myself there's only two paths, and all of a sudden I feel really uncomfortable because both paths don't seem right. Both paths don't feel good. And I get into a very uncomfortable place. So for instance, I think sometimes as women, we get to the place of like, I can be a phenomenal mother or wife or girlfriend, or I can be really great at my career. Okay, I can either or I can be really fit and healthy, or I can enjoy food and get to go out with my friends and eat what I want. Like I could do, it's constant, this either or. Right. I could either be a really effective employee or leader, or I can be really liked. We either or ourselves. And so every time I feel that discomfort, I've put myself in an either or situation and changing it and using the word and instead. Like, okay, so I can be a really attentive, present mother and an executive. I could be both. Now, sometimes I have to say, I know it's possible. I currently don't have the skill set, but I am learning the skill set to do this. I'm finding the mentor to get there. So I don't always have both of it. It's either or because I don't know how to do it yet. But every time I feel that discomfort, it's either or. And when I can change it to an and, I give myself possibility and I give myself a bigger truth, because there is no truth and just two options and two bad options. I believe we all can have everything. We can be all of it. We don't have to make the tough choices. We just have to put the word and in between the choices that we want. And now we can have it all.
Right. I love that. That is beautiful, because I was literally just listening to Jay Shetty's podcast. He was interviewing a woman named Eva Longoria, I think her last name is. And she she said something so similar to you. Because he asked her, he's like, I don't get it. You learned 2 languages and you got a master's degree while you were producing a TV show that first season, or whatever the case may be. Well, she's like, yeah, I mean, and he was like, and everyone tells you focus on one thing. He's like, how does that work for you? And she simply just said, I just knew exactly what I wanted, and I found the time to make it happen. And I just never really worked in a one way type of way. I saw my mother being able to juggle everything and still have food on the table at 6 o'clock. Like, so to me, it was like, it's not about a black and white. It's more of a, hey, let me just teach myself how to do it. There was so my uncle, he owns a general contracting company out in New York, a really successful one. And before his career in general contracting, he owns several franchises for Domino's Pizza. And Domino's Pizza's head CEO said, I want 500 of the best managers in the country to come meet me in this conference. He was one of them. And this goes hand in hand to what you just said. And the guy asked, and everyone knows when you get trained in Domino's Pizza that I used to work in it because my dad used to own one too. So I used to learn all these things. And in a rush, you can make 15 pizzas. And in a rush, they teach you how to make one pizza in 4 minutes, and a really good quality pizza in 4 minutes. So in total, in an hour, that's about 15. So the CEO stood in front of all 500 and he asked, okay, guys, someone please tell me how many pizzas can be made in a rush. And so everyone's like, 15, 50, some said 80, like some said 40, like it was a bunch of different numbers. In the end, the CEO says, okay, well, everyone was wrong. He's like, you all got it wrong. And they said, okay, well, what's the number? And he said, 1. He's like, if you know how to make one pizza in a rush, then that's how many pizzas you can make in a rush. Like he's basically teaching everybody that if you've mastered the skill so well, even when there isn't a rush, if you know how to make a pizza in a rush, then when the opportunity or the challenge comes at you, you're prepared. And it won't ever feel like a rush because you're always doing it every day, no matter what, if the rush is there or not. So I love what you said. It's never black and white. It's just really understanding what you may need to learn or do to get to where you need to be. And even if you don't know, you can have it all, though. You can figure it out. You can make it work in a rush if you wanted to, too. So I love that.
That's great. Great metaphor. That's awesome.
Thought I'd share that story. But I love what you said, and it definitely does resonate. And I think anybody who's in their 20s or even 30s or 40s will really appreciate it because it's never really a black and white decision to make. Just coming up with your own. So I love that.
Life is not that easy. We are way too complex. And we're just so expansive. We just really can have everything. I do believe in total abundance for all people, that there is more than enough for all of us in every situation. Whether usually our abundance, people think money, but no, it is money, but it also is our relationships, our love, our fun, our freedom. There's more than enough for all of us.
I love that. Thank you, Mary. Seriously. I got to ask one last question. Where can my viewers find you?
Oh, perfect. So you could go to fpg.com. That's forestperformancegroup.com. Everything is there. And then I wanted to give a gift away. Is that okay, Hadeel? Can I give a gift?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'd love to send out, we have, if this is resonated with anybody, my amazing husband has this new book that came out 2 weeks ago called The Mindset of a Sales Warrior. And it is everything we've been talking about with mindset. It's 43 strategies on your mindset and how to unleash them. And then in the audio version, after each chapter that he reads, we have a discussion about it on where did it come from? How have we used it in our own life? Where is it? And so I love, I'll put out a link so that any of your viewers, if they'd like to have that book for free, just pay for the shipping and handling, then we will get that right out to them so that they can enjoy that and continue on this journey with us.
I love it. I love it, guys. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Once you send me those links, I'll make sure to put it under this video when we post it, and everyone will have an opportunity to definitely buy that book because I think that's a phenomenal thing. That's amazing. Thank you, Mary. Seriously. This and by the way, I know I've heard so much about Mindset Warriors, so if anybody really wants to read something that's going to change their mind in sales, that's the book. And Mary definitely knows what she's talking about. So please, if anybody has any questions or even want to possibly use her services, you know where to find her. So thank you, Mary, so much. And guys, till next time. All right. Thank you.